The Bible is full of stories that span from creation to the end times, encompassing a variety of themes, lessons, and historical events. Here are a few of the most well-known biblical stories. 1. Creation of the world. Genesis 1 to 2. Summary. The Bible begins with the story of creation. God creates the heavens, the earth, and everything in them over 6 days. On the seventh day, he rests. Key moments include the creation of light, separating the sky from the waters, land and vegetation, the sun, moon, and stars, sea creatures, birds, animals, and finally, humans, Adam and Eve. 2. The fall of man, Genesis 3. Summary. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden, where God has placed them. They are given everything they need, but are commanded not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. However, they are tempted by the serpent, Satan, and eat the fruit, leading to sin entering the world. As a result, they are expelled from Eden. 3. Noah's Ark, Genesis 6 to 9. Summary. As humanity becomes increasingly wicked, God decides to cleanse the earth with a flood. He instructs Noah, a righteous man, to build an ark and bring 2 of every kind of animal aboard. The flood covers the earth for 40 days and nights. After the flood, God makes a covenant with Noah, symbolized by a rainbow. 4. The Tower of Babel, Genesis 11 verse 1 to 9. Summary. Humanity, speaking a single language, decides to build a tower tall enough to reach heaven. God confounds their language so they can no longer understand each other, causing them to scatter across the earth. This event explains the origin of different languages and nations. 5. Abraham and Isaac, Genesis 22. Summary. God tests Abraham's faith by asking him to sacrifice his beloved son, Isaac. Abraham obeys and prepares to offer Isaac as a sacrifice. At the last moment, God stops him and provides a ram to sacrifice instead, affirming his promise to bless Abraham and his descendants. 6. Moses and the Exodus, Exodus 1 to 14. Summary. The Israelites are enslaved in Egypt. God chooses Moses to lead them to freedom. After a series of plagues, Pharaoh finally allows them to leave. The Israelites cross the Red Sea, which miraculously parts for them, and begin their journey to the Promised Land. David and Goliath, Samuel 17. Summary. The young shepherd David faces the giant Philistine warrior Goliath. Armed only with a sling and faith in God, David defeats Goliath, demonstrating that God's power is greater than physical strength. 8. Daniel in the lion's den, Daniel 6. Daniel, a faithful servant of God, is thrown into a den of lions for praying to God instead of the king. God shuts the lions' mouths, and Daniel emerges unharmed, showing God's protection over his faithful followers. 9. The birth of Jesus, Luke 2, 1 to 20. Summary. Jesus Christ is born in Bethlehem to the Virgin Mary. His birth is announced by angels to shepherds, and he is visited by wise men from the east. This event marks the beginning of the New Testament. 10. The crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, Matthew 27 to 28, Mark 15 to 16, Luke 23 to 24, John 19 to 20. Summary. Jesus is crucified by the Romans at the urging of Jewish leaders to atone for the sins of humanity. 3 days later, he rises from the dead, defeating sin and death and offering salvation to all who believe in him. These stories are just a few highlights from the Bible, each rich with lessons and significance in both religious and historical contexts.